Good morning, everybody. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Really do appreciate it. If you hit that subscribe button, we're trying to get to 10,000 subs. That starts with you clicking that button. And make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. We also post a weekly recap on the weekend. We also do the morning notes every day, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss it. So make sure to turn on notifications. Also, FYI, Monday, the markets are closed. So no morning note on Monday since the markets are closed. Not much to talk about there. Let's get to it. Dow futures are up 58 points. NASDAQ's up 63. S&P up 16 with the Russell up 0.52%. That's after yesterday's biggest fall of the year, 2024. Dow fell yesterday about 600 points. Big pullback, obviously, that happened around midday, right around, I would say, 11:30 into 12. That's where we started getting the, excuse me, that pullback into the lows of the session. As we expand a little bit, let's keep an eye on the S&P, see if there's any trends have been broken. All right, looking at it here, you can see could be double top-ish, sure. That is a concern. But looking at it here, has anything changed? I mean, you have the 20-day moving average above the 50-day. That's a pretty strong momentum indicator. In my opinion, at worst, we'd get to 52, maybe 52.65 or so. That is your next level of support on the daily. I don't foresee us tapping that today. I actually believe that we'll retake 53.33. We won't get back to all-time highs, obviously. I mean, unless we get some really good news. We have some consumer sentiment numbers at 10. We also have a Fed speaker at 9:45. That's the only thing really left on the docket. We just had durable goods orders. That came in better than expected in terms of that. So at least demand is still out there. We know that. So again, for S&P futures, use 52.65 as your support, 53.33 being the target. That's about 30 points from where we are now. We are long NASDAQ futures, so let's take a look at that together. And this is why I don't think the double top thesis on the S&P is really set up yet. It's not there yet because look at the previous all-time highs for the NASDAQ. It was 18,677. Now, granted, you could say, well, NVIDIA is a big part of that. Still a stock market. And again, we're just playing the levels. We're just taking advantage. That's all it is. Fundamentals and stuff like that, that's investor stuff. But this is all about trading. And with futures, it's not an investment. It's a trade. 18,677. Moving forward, that's going to be your support. That was the previous all-time highs. Very textbook. You get a breakout. You use the previous resistance as support moving forward, with your target being about 19,000. That's that round number theory that everyone likes. We know. Very psychologically satisfying number, 19,000. Could we get there by the end of the day? I doubt it. I would say the highs of the day looking like we're that top end of this filled candle on the red on the daily, right around 18,850 or so. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. That would probably be another 90 points. And again, bouncing on the NASDAQ 150 points after being down, I think 250 yesterday, something. It's not fully retraced. But again, a relief rally definitely in the works as what I see. The only thing that would probably change that would be a very, very bad consumer sentiment report. It's a revised one. And then this guy right here, the dollar. The dollar needs to stay below 105, as we've been saying. It's rejecting the 50. It's rejecting the 20-day. Those are good signs. Also, remember what we talked about on the NASDAQ, the S&P, where the 20-day moving average was above the 50-day, and we said that was bullish. Let's inverse that. 20-day is about to break below the 50. The dollar is going to fall, guys. It just doesn't happen immediately. So again, I'm expecting as dollar comes down, I expect commodities to bounce. I expect yields to come back down as well, regardless of what people think of the Fed or what have you. We're not going to get a cut in June, and that's fair. But again, we're starting to see how the dollar is affecting the market. And again, the dollar was pushing up since the beginning of January. Absolutely. But with the dollar pulling back, I believe that inflation readings are starting to roll over slightly. I placed a note regarding that same subject from Morgan Stanley. I posted that on Instagram as well and the blog. So again, things are looking up as we're going into the summer season. But again, this starts with the dollar. We need that sucker to go down. All right, enough about the macro there. Let's see. Crude oil is flat this morning. Gasoline is down 0.61%. We do have Memorial Day driving season. Maybe we'll see some demand report next week as we have crude oil inventories. Gold futures up 0.19%. The metals have been smoked. Silver is up 1% today. Again, they have been smoked. They were as high as, I believe, 32 level. Now it's at 30. Copper was at 5. Now it's at 478. That's down 0.17%. As someone who is holding Freeport McMoran calls, this one has been a tough one. Looking at Forex land, again, the dollar's down. So again, anything against the dollar other than the yen is kind of being weaker today. Bitcoin up 0.74% at 67,705. With the dollar coming down, I still expect that to move higher. Ethereum ETF headlines. Looks like we're going to get one. Looks like a sell the news event at this point. Again, we know what happened with Bitcoin and with their ETFs. We started trading BITO. So if we see that approval and we find an ETF with volume and a great chart, you already know we're going to trade that thing. So that's around the horn at this very moment. Looks like you're pretty much caught up. I think I'm missing just the volatility index down about 1.5% after it spiked. So NVIDIA is also green this morning after a really amazing day yesterday, but pulled off by the highs. So that's where we are. Let's answer some questions. Apple price upgrade, the July 200 expiry. Yep, they were just upgraded by Wedbush. So they are up about $2 this morning. You can see on the hourly, nothing really special. I would say above 190, 291. I'm looking at the 195 calls. I don't think there's a need to really go for the 200 calls with time. It's a little too out of the money, and you're only at 188. So, you're asking for about $12, depending on your expiry again, July, 2 months. I would say that your best bet would be to wait for 190, 291. That would show the bounce, and then you go a little closer to the money. 195 would be a little cheaper. I think that would probably be the more prudent trade than just go for the 200s, personally. Thoughts on Google and Amazon calls? Let's take a look at them. Google hasn't done anything regarding trend change. Yeah, you got one red candle there, sure. If it tags the 20-day at 172, we'll keep an eye. If it retests this upward trend line, 170, unless you break above 180. I mean, I would say in terms of Google, not much edge there in terms of trading right now. Amazon, we're below the 50. Okay. Could be possibly an inverse. Sure. It's just got to hold 180. I got an alert at 187.36 to tag 190 calls. So I'll just wait for that there. If you're looking to short Amazon, maybe you get below 179.94 and we can target 175 puts. Possibly. We will see. I'll place that alert there. Got in a little late. Did I miss Intel? No. Intel pulled back, obviously, and it is bouncing pre-market, but all of this was really just from yesterday and one of the few semiconductors that did not do well. Again, I'm still playing this upward gap. We were green. Just got to get above 32 again. We will see if this support holds of right around 29.72. Just a tough one. Wow, just got wrecked yesterday, but most stocks did. It was all red yesterday. So this is why you buy time. We'll see if that does come around. Thoughts on Target and City calls? Yeah, let's take a look at Target. Target, I think we're probably going to get today. 145.70. That has just been knocking on the door. That's the bottom end of that gap fill from the earnings. Once we break that, we'll probably get to 148.98, 149. I have the 150 calls. So right here is really all we're looking for, but we probably get about 155. Won't happen overnight. The goal is not to fill the gap immediately. The goal is just to make our profit. And I believe that with Target, the durable goods orders that just came out, that Target will move higher today. Personally, price target in terms of gains, I believe we'll get our 40% today. Absolutely. We'll see if we get a little bit of a push. Actually, had a nice day yesterday. Target actually was green in the sea of red. Imagine that. City calls. Yep, just chop City here. Again, just hanging around that 64 level, 64 to 65. We're trying to get to 65. We're so close in the money. We're at 20, the 20-day. We're up this morning. So that's a good sign. Most stocks are. We're just going to see if we get some momentum, regain all that was lost yesterday. But City, nothing has changed. A one session does not change a trend, guys. It is still a bull market. Absolutely. You get a pullback here and there. Doesn't go in a straight line. It happens. We move on. Thoughts on trading ELF? I don't know what ELF is. Anything here, I guess, above 191, then you can do the 200s, but I don't know much about this company. All I'm looking at is the daily. Thoughts on RL? Ralph Lauren, I believe, reported earnings recently, if not yesterday or today. You got to break above the 50, and then you have a gap to fill at 183. So if you wanted to trade that would be the target, 183.50 or so. Citibank. Yeah, we just talked about it. And again, pulled back. It's still holding the 20. It's bouncing off it as the bid and ask are above that 20-day moving average. We will see if we get this relief bounce as I expect today. FCX. XCX with copper. Again, you can see all that pullback. So 2 ugly days. We're below the 20. We are bouncing. So we need to get above what? 51.75 above the 20. That would get us there. The good news is that copper is up this morning, slightly anyways, but we need this guy to come down. And now we have a gap to fill here at 53.53. We have traded FCX, I think, 3 times this year. We have not missed on it. We still have over a month. So again, or about a month. 53.56 gap fill, that's kind of the first step. And then once we keep going higher, that's what we're looking for. We've been in the money on this one. We actually hit our strike, but again, the reversal on the metals and copper, not ideal. XOM. XOM is still holding on to the handle. It has been a pain in the butt to hold this thing. Absolutely agree. But again, the trend has not changed. All it is staying within this channel. Sounds very familiar. Tesla, same thing. Just consolidating, moving back in this channel. Same old deal. Except that's not a handle on a cup and handle. This is. So yes, I know it looks like crap right now. And I'm still holding it and I'm still going to defend it. Until that handle breaks, I am holding. I have this level here at 111. I know it's a tough one, but again, you have to see at least the end of the movie before you walk out of the movie. That's what I say personally. I got to see how the movie ends. BA. BA I was watching, and then, of course, headlines hit. So we had this here, this break. Again, very similar pattern as what we had, that wedge breakout. But again, headlines are headlines. Headlines don't care about technical patterns. You know, when you start hearing the CEO saying lower cash flow than last year, this is what you're going to get. So is it invalidated? Below 160, it is. Absolutely. You can target 160 as a possible play to the downside, but you're bouncing this morning. In order for this to get any semblance of attractiveness to buy calls, you got to get above 195.80. This is why you have your alerts, guys. Leave those alerts, set your charts, and then the market will tell you when it's ready based on what you placed. AMD. All right. AMD pulled back as well. Very similar to Intel. The only one that was up was really NVIDIA. Got to get above 173 now. That's what we're going to use. If you get above 173, then you could target 180 and you could target 185. 185 would be cheaper, obviously, if you buy time. But if you do the 180s, it might be a little more expensive. Again, closer to the strike, more expensive, more cost. The 50 just broke below the 100. That was recent. You're still above the 20. I mean, has there a trend changed from one candle? No. I think right now you're just waiting. And in terms of Boeing, no, did we have Starbucks? Starbucks, we traded and we caught this last week. That reversed too. I mean, just like everything else. So there's still a gap to fill. Let me see if I can pull this back. I'll reset a little bit of those RSIs. Maybe things got a little hot. Fair enough. Above 8104, he's still got 87. So Starbucks is not finished. We just need to go ahead and see if we can get that break. And why do I say that? Because this trend line held absolutely beautifully. And the last major trend line that I can remember that held this way was the KRE, which is the regional ETF for the banks. And look at that. Remember with all this crisis that we had with SVB, this is 2023, it still held on to that trend line. Very similar to Starbucks. Now, again, KRE didn't soar or anything, but again, it bounced from that trend line of 35 and it got as high as 54. And right now it's right around 48. So still a nice bounce in the positive for KRE based on this trend line. So I view Starbucks in a similar fashion. Let's take a look at Meta. Meta is just holding on to that 20-day. It is green. So if you wanted to trade Meta, again, you have that gap to fill. You got to get above 485. If you get above that, then you can target 520 to 530 with time, of course. But this is the only thing that's scary right here. That gap fill from the daily. We had our earnings fill, obviously. If you get to 485 or so, or 508, that retraces the whole move. 485, you can target 500. I'm pretty sure there's going to be tons of volume on that, but you got to wait on this one. We still need more on Meta. Let's see, Nvidia. Nvidia, when it comes to all-time highs, very difficult to trade. Look at it this way. See QQQ. CQ retest of the all-time high. That's our previous all-time high that we broke out of. Let's do a better one. NQ. All right, NQ would probably be a better example. Previous all-time high, broke out of it, came back. Is so far as holding support. Let's keep that in mind. Let's go back to NVIDIA. Again, great sword job. Don't get me wrong. Right here, 965. That's what I'm looking for. Would I want to short it here? No. I mean, because it's just going to be very, very expensive. Let's wait until the stock splits, and then we could start signaling, the calls on NVIDIA a lot cheaper, like $100 calls, 110 calls. It's going to be so much easier for everybody. Same thing with Amazon that happened with their split. Same thing with Alphabet, Google when they did their split. But again, that's my target, 965. Retest the previous breakout and then see where we can go from there. But again, if you're looking for some kind of target to hedge, I guess 965 puts would be it, but it would be very expensive. So trading at all-time highs is not easy. What's your resistance? Where's your target? Higher? For that, just buy the stock. Don't trade it. XLE. Let's look at it. XLE pulling back from that retest of the level. Again, that's not ideal either. You have a gap to fill here at 89.29. I have an alert at 95 for the break. But again, oil has been taking a hit. So this doesn't look great at all. But there is something that does stand out. And again, you can see this as the handle. And again, you can use this as a cup, for example. And again, it makes sense because XOM, ExxonMobil, which has a cup and handle, setting up still, is the biggest part of XLE. So you can kind of go back and forth with those two. Very similar to NVIDIA and SMH, because NVIDIA is the biggest part of SMH, the semiconductor ETF. Potential profit taking in the market before long weekend. Seasonally speaking, we actually get a push into Memorial Day, actually. So seeing green today would be expected. That's what I say. I think we get a relief rally after being just a quick oversell, snap judgment off Fed meeting minutes, interest rates, NVIDIA. Pick your excuse. It's a good thing. Happens. Now you just move on. But I still think the trend really hasn't changed on anything. So I do expect us to bounce higher into the weekend, the long weekend. Yes. JPM. JPM 197.57 was a level that I was keeping an eye on. 197.48 is where we are currently. We are bouncing off the 20. Could we get above 200 and try the 205s? Absolutely. I'd rather get Citi first. The banks, Bank of America is the one that hasn't worked for us, at least the last losing trade. But let's see if we can get above it. If we can get above $200.83, let's see if the 205s, possibly the 210s, maybe, just to retest those highs. So we'll see. All right. Looks like all questions are answered. You guys were on fire today. Thank you guys so much for your questions. Thanks for being here. I will catch you guys next week. Well, actually, this weekend for our recap of the week. Let's make it a great Friday, team. I'll catch you guys on the server if you guys are interested in joining. All the information is scrolling on the bottom of your screen to join our Discord server. Live Market Blog is free. We also have paid services. We also have a promo running. Details are on Instagram. I will see you on the server, guys, for the pre-market plan for my options traders. Catch you then. Cheers.